Welcome to the United Stand, everybody. Welcome to another road trip, a weekly road trip. Weekly now because United are out of every other competition, it would seem. So the road trips are mainly once a week now. But next week, obviously, Champions League. The last hope of salvaging anything from this season, which has been, for me, the worst. And everybody, and I asked this question on the show the other night, I asked them, I said, has this been the worst? I mean, there's been worse seasons before Sir Alex Ferguson, I know that, but post Sir Alex Ferguson, has this been the single worst season that we have had? For me, yes. And it's a personal note for me because of the road trips, the sort of amount of games I've been to, probably the most games I've been to in one season this season, and it's been one of the most horrible seasons for results, especially the away ones. I know we've had some stinkers at home, some real stinkers, and probably the worst ones at home. Liverpool, obviously, 5-0, but that Leicester trip, the Watford trip, City last week, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The sheer volume of disappointment we've had this season is just beyond. The next week's Champions League game against Atletico Madrid is simply the most important game of the season now, because it is the only sort of salvaging, the only shining light left in what has been another crap season, like we just said. But Spurs today, well, how do you want to take it? Are you still seeing United have an outside chance of making top four? Because if Spurs get the result today, that puts them ahead of us with a game in hand, as well as Arsenal already being ahead of us with 3 games in hand. So, I mean, how is your hope? Because that's all we're clinging on to. We're looking at players that still, we're hearing stories leaked through the press about unrest behind the scenes, players that are not performing, Cavani, Ronaldo, the key players that are not happy in this squad right now. Cavani's not bothered, he's off in the summer. Lingard's off in the summer, Pogba's probably off in the summer. And I was talking on the show the other night, Thursday night, with J. Kev and Haber about Pogba and whether he's worth a contract extension. If United are talking the talk like they was when them quarterly figures came out, Murto, Arnold, Fletcher, everyone talking, we're putting the team together, the winning team, we're putting that together to take United forward and put United back where we're supposed to be, which is challenging for major trophies. Let's be honest, it is the Champions League and the Premier League. We're a million miles away from that. Would giving Paul Pogba more than 400 grand a week for what can only be described as inconsistency of a excellent player, no one doubts that, I never will doubt that, in terms of what he's got, and when he turns it on he's unplayable. True, most players are like that when they're actually turning it on, especially if you're United standard anyway. I believe Pogba is United standard, I just don't believe we've got the consistent Paul Pogba, and time is up, is it not? Do you know what I mean? And if the club are talking the talk about getting this club back to, and this team back challenging, let's not talk about the club actually, because it's about the team right now. The club we know are a shambles. What can we salvage from the team and actually bring something back on the pitch with? That's what I want to talk about. And giving Paul Pogba a 400 plus grand a week contract. Dear God, let that sink in. Let that sink in with everything else that's on top of that. In a season when you're about to fall out of the Champions League, possibly the Europa League, he has already turned down that amount once, and you're still clinging on as a football club to actually trying to keep him there. No! Cut your ties, cut your losses, set the precedent and say this is how we move on from this moment. If you are going to back up your words, what you said in them press conferences, statements, whatever you want to call them, when they were speaking a couple of weeks ago, if you are going to back yourself to be the men that are going to do the job, why not change tact? Why not change exactly what has been going wrong in the last 10 years, which is giving these big contracts out? How many players can you say that about? How many? Di Maria, Sanchez, we're doing Pogba now. Do you know what I mean? It's like Marcus Rashford's due a new contract next year. Does he deserve it? No, he doesn't. What has Paul Pogba done to deserve being the highest paid player in the Premier League? You tell me. And yeah, he's going to go somewhere else and probably hit it off. But let's not kid ourselves who we are. United need to build a new foundation. United is a different kettle of fish. You can be a brilliant player and come and fail at Old Trafford. You really can. Unless you have got the minerals to handle the consistent pressure. There are very few clubs in the world that have this. Barcelona's, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, United, that calibre of club, you can come into, be absolutely superb from where you was before and fail miserably. You're gone. United for some reason aren't getting the you're gone bit in place. It's like you fail. 3 years, no new contract extension. We're Manchester United. We sell you on at a bit of a loss, or we actually just cut ties and act and bring someone else through. We have to set a new precedent at Manchester United right now. It's pointless carrying on exactly how we've been doing the last few years, which has been ultimately massive failure. So for me, no, Pogba doesn't get the deal, and that's where I'm at with this team and this club at the moment. If they're going to walk the walk that they've talked, then they need to sort of say, right, no, Pogba, thank you, see you later. He's replaceable. He is replaceable. There's certain players in this world that are not replaceable. I would say, and I said this on the show on Thursday, Mo Salah being one of them, in contract negotiations with Liverpool at the moment, and sort of holding out. You pay what Mo Salah is worth. If he wants 300, 350 a week, you pay him that money, because you cannot replace that. You cannot replace that quality for that money. Simple as. Paul Pogba, 400 plus a week, he's not warranting that. Can you bring in another player that can do a job? Well, I seen Camavinga, who we could have had, come on for Real Madrid and change the game the other day and score, and was in the mix with all 3 goals for Real Madrid in that comeback, which was brilliant the other night in the Champions League versus PSG. So for me, Pogba is replaceable. Yes, we have to move on. You have to move on. Ultimately, Pogba's been part of a failing team, and yeah, he's won a few trophies. Great stuff. Obviously got the Europa League. No, he's got 2, hasn't he? Europa League and the League Cup. That was it. You know what I mean? Pretty much like everyone else. Past that, last 5 years, where have you been, mate? Where have you been? Nothing since then. And it's been ultimate failure. So for me, yeah, Pogba's replaceable. We've got Donny van der Beek in the wings. Looking ahead to Spurs before I go off on a complete show on my own right now, just on an Adam rant. Sorry guys, it's still bubbling. There's a lot been going on football wise this week, and we've not even played. I need a relief. I need a sort of like a release from all the propaganda and crap that's going on behind the scenes. But then again, you come down to a United game and it just puts you in even worse frame of mind, because last week it was City, we waited a week for that dross. This week we're having to wait a week to the Spurs game. Is it going to be dross again? Like I said at the start, Spurs win, they're ahead of us with a game in hand, and then we're really looking at fighting for Europa Conference or Europa League. It's diabolical. We shouldn't even be thinking about that. But we are, and that is the harsh reality that this club is at right now. For me today, in terms of team selection, I've seen Varane training, I've seen Cavani, Ronaldo, they're all back. The only positions that I feel like are changeable is probably bring Ronaldo in because we ain't got a forward. Bring Varane back if he is able to come back. I know he said he can play, but anything can change, you know what I mean? We didn't know until last minute last week that he had COVID, so anything's possible in terms of team selection. For me, I still wouldn't bring Luke Shaw in. I'm literally at a stage now where I'm like, let's look to the future. Luke Shaw's been talked about as getting a new contract. I mean, how long's he been here and not succeeded? People are clinging on, and fans have gone down this road of, oh, I like this player. He's like my favourite player now, so I'm going to back him through thick and thin. This is where this fan base is. If you're a successful football club and you're looking at a player that hasn't performed, then you're thinking down the lines. But this fan base is changing, it's ever changing, and this is where we're going at the moment. It's like people clinging on to mediocrity. It's like, yeah, I like Luke Shaw, and I thought, you know what, there's times when I have thought Luke Shaw is going to turn out to be the man, the player that we all thought he was. When he first came on the scene, teenager from Southampton, I thought, oh, I can see it in him. And I've still seen bits in him, but the inconsistency of a season when we really needed him, when the chips were down. Let's not forget, he has been quite boisterous. He has been having his say after games in post-match press conferences as well. He's ultimately failed us as well. He's a senior player now, and he's failed us. A lot of players have really let this team and the fans down this season, an awful lot. And it's all through their own sort of self-absorbed lifestyle and wanting to still be what they are off the pitch that has caused this problem on it. I'm not going to get into too many details about that because this is a road trip video and I can't go on forever. But just to summarise, the club is a mess. The fans need something on the pitch, and I personally don't believe these players are up for giving it. I really don't. There are leaders in this team? Yes, there are. David De Gea, Rafael Varane. They're my two leaders right now. Ronaldo's attitude and Ronaldo's quality and mentality is what this team needs. He's just lacking in his body and isn't where he needs to be for United to sort of work around him and go forward. I'm looking ahead past this season because this is over. It's done. Ronaldo may get his swan song. He may be the winner against Atletico Madrid, and that will be an absolutely brilliant story and probably the highlight of the season. But just let that sink in as well. The highlight of the season is a quarter-final against Atletico Madrid just to get through, knowing that you're probably going to get knocked out by an absolute miles better team in the next round unless we get lucky. For me, Tottenham, if we win, it's great. I'll just enjoy the win. But I won't be able to look past it still, if that makes sense. I can't look past it because I know what's coming the next week. Was it Lindelof who said we can't just win one game, then draw one, then lose one? We need to be consistent. Well, yeah, again. But that's like the football club, talking the talk. I'm seeing no walking, zero walking. Show me something. Show me some consistency of professionalism and wearing that red shirt. Because right now I've given up on all of these players. All the players that I thought could have been something. And there are exceptions, but they're very few and far between. The rest of them, my God. We need a win, obviously. Hopefully we'll get a win. But for me, I'm looking at it going, couldn't tell you at all. Couldn't tell you. And that's just where we're at. Guys, like, share, subscribe to United Stand. I'm out of here. Cheers for watching, everybody. Good luck today, Reds.